Today we're taking another look into cable movie history with wait. This is new. I ain't mad at it, but it's definitely new. Born in 1981 in Jersey City, New Jersey, Christina Marie Flores is the granddaughter of Cuban boxer Jose Ramon Flores. Soon after her birth, her parents, Don Flores and Carmen Milan, moved the family to Waldorf, Maryland, where Christina would grow up the eldest of three sisters. Described as being an imaginative and creative child, she spent much of her young life watching television and listening to the radio, and she developed an early interest in performing. By the age of 9, she was signed with a local talent agency and had filmed national commercials for Wendy's and for Post's Honeycomb cereal. And she had also taken on the professional name of Christina Milan, borrowing her mother's maiden name. When Christina was 13 years old, her parents separated and she would move with her mother and her two younger sisters to Los Angeles. She was interested in singing and acting and was offered the opportunity to be part of Disney's revived Mickey Mouse Club, but instead she took a job hosting Movie Surfers for the Disney Channel, where she went on screen by the name Tina. Her desire to be a singer, however, would be frustrated by her early partnership with Rodney Darkchild Jenkins. Jenkins, the producer, was impressed with her singing and worked with her in the studio practically every day, in the process introducing her to people in the music industry, but she describes that early partnership as being little help when it came to putting together her demo tape. Speaking to Robbie Daw for Instinct magazine, Milan recalled that every time she recorded a song for Jenkins, he would either refuse to give her the recording of the song for her demo, or he would make changes to the lyrics that she didn't want to put out to represent herself. Milan continued working with the producer, however, and also took on small roles in Sister Sister, Get Real, and American Pie. In 2000, she would make her professional singing debut, providing vocals for Ja Rule's Between Me and You, and she would co-write the song Same Old for the girl group PYT. She would sign a record deal with Def Soul Records and record her self-titled debut in Sweden, but the album would be delayed for its release in the US due to the September 11th attacks. The album would be scheduled for release finally in 2002, but Milan would ultimately decide not to release it for the US market. Instead, Def Soul released two singles selected from the album, AM to PM and When You Look at Me. The songs were hits worldwide, but response in the US was soft. Milan complained to her label that the singles chosen from the album were not in line with what the public expected from the vocalist on Ja Rule's single. The same year, she would raise her musical profile by collaborating with rapper Romeo on a single, appearing with Hilary Duff on her Christmas album, and providing the song Call Me, Beep Me to the Disney Channel as the theme for its new cartoon, Kim Possible. Her acting career, meanwhile, would take a step forward with her appearance in a minor role for the film Torque, which would help her in getting cast in the lead in 2003's Love Don't Cost a Thing. Milan continued to be unhappy with the way Def Soul presented her to the public, noting that they frequently changed her public image and that it made it difficult for the audience to feel like they actually knew and recognized her. When Def Jam closed down Def Soul and absorbed it in 2003, Milan took the opportunity to jump to Def Jam's partner label, Island Records. Milan returned to the studio and worked on her second album, but, listening to the radio, began to be concerned that her music no longer matched what was hitting on the charts. She decided to stop her recording and instead focused on touring overseas for the next year and a half, working on developing music for an eventual sophomore album. That album would be 2004's It's About Time. Her new sound was less the light pop that she had debuted with, and more R&B, comparable to the work of Jennifer Lopez, Janet Jackson, and Beyoncé. And Milan supported it by building a more consistently adult and sexier image. Critical response was mixed, with her club tracks being praised, but the ballads being singled out as the weakest parts of the album. Milan toured with Usher and Kanye West to promote It's About Time, and the album debuted at 14 on Billboard's album charts. It would be nominated for the 2005 Grammy Award for Best Contemporary R&B Album, and the single Dip It Low would reach number 5 on the U.S. charts, as well as getting a Grammy nomination itself for Best Rap Sung Collaboration for the American version featuring rapper Fabulous. In 2005, Milan would appear in Be Cool, the sequel to Get Shorty, and she would record 2 songs for the soundtrack. The filming of 2006's Pulse would prove difficult for her, as she experienced racial abuse on the streets of Romania and dealt with the developing story that her partner Nick Cannon had been cheating on her. Milan's third album hewed even closer to R&B and urban music and debuted at number 11 on the Billboard 200. However, just a week after the album's release, Island Def Jam would drop Milan's contract. Milan was upset and called the move on the part of the label embarrassing, saying that she believed she had been dropped due to budget cuts. 2007 saw Milan starring in the ABC Family original Snow Globe, and she was supposed to star alongside Mario Lopez in a new series entitled 8 Days a Week, but the show would lose its series order during the Writers Guild of America strike. In 2008, she signed with MySpace Records. Yes, there was a MySpace Records, and returned to the studio. She would debut her next single, Us Against the World, on the MySpace social media site. Before finishing her next album, she would take time to film a role in Bring It On, Fight to the Finish. By 2009, it was announced that her next album, Elope, would be distributed by Interscope Records. By 2010, Elope had yet to be released when Milan took over as the social media correspondent for NBC's The Voice. 2012 would bring the announcement that Milan had been signed by Lil Wayne's Young Money, and that she was still working on her 4th album. She would speak glowingly of Wayne's handling of his artists and of the encouragement she was getting for her new album, and would feature on singles collaborating with Young Money artists. Her contract for The Voice was not picked up for 2013, but Milan would compete in that year's Dancing with the Stars. In 2015, Milan would debut her own reality series, Christina Milan Turned Up, and she would begin promoting her We Are Pop Culture clothing line. An EP entitled For You, released from Young Money in December of 2015. Milan continues releasing new singles and working on her next album, as well as appearing on television and in films. In 2019, she starred in the Netflix romantic comedy Falling in Love, the first Netflix movie to be filmed in New Zealand.
Caitlin! Jeez, oh my... You scared me to death. How did you get in here?
Sloane Spencer, time is running out. You must change your ways or pay the price.
Ah! Oh my god, how good was that?
Pennsylvania-born Tufts alum Ori Wallington dreamed of being a writer, but didn't quite know where to start. She describes her post-college days as spending nights bartending and days collecting rejection slips for her poetry. A move to New York landed her a position as an actor's personal assistant. She would leave the job to move to Mexico, researching a screenplay, but when her money ran out before the script was finished, she found herself moving back to New York, where she managed to find a job as a script coordinator for the HBO series Sex and the City. To her surprise, this led to her first professional writing credit when she was invited to write an episode for the final season. The end of the series saw her moving to Los Angeles, where she would add Veronica Mars, Heroes, and Courting Alex to her resume, as well as writing the episodes Headhunters and The Time Traveler's Pig for Gravity Falls. But in 2010, she would write the screenplay for an ABC Family original, Christmas Cupid. In the director's seat would be New York native Gil Younger. His directing credits largely center on television fare, including stints directing for The John Larroquette Show, Living Single, Ellen, and Blossom. But in 1999, he would make his theatrical film debut directing probably his most popular work, 10 Things I Hate About You. The ABC Family channel, now known as Freeform, has had a long and storied history. It began as CBN Satellite Network in 1977, a wing of Pat Robertson's Christian Broadcasting Network that was delivered nationally via satellite, only the third channel in America to do so, preceded by HBO and TBS. The channel originally broadcast exclusively Christian programming, but in 1981, it would shift its branding to the CBN cable network and start to mix its religious programming with reruns of family shows, including The Many Loves of Dobie Gillis and Groucho Marx's You Bet Your Life. 1988 saw the channel changing names once again to the CBN Family Channel, but that name was short-lived. By 1990, the channel had grown so successful that allowing it to stay a part of the Christian Broadcasting Network would have endangered the religious organization's non-profit status. CBN spun the network off as the primary outlet for the new for-profit corporation International Family Entertainment, which was managed by Pat Robertson's son, Timothy. By September of that year, the channel's name had officially changed to The Family Channel. It would continue to broadcast Robertson's The 700 Club and would start to broadcast dramas and comedies that it had purchased from Canadian, Australian, and New Zealand television stations, including The New Adventures of Zorro, The Man from Snowy River, and Maniac Mansion. International Family Entertainment would put the channel up for sale in 1997, and waiting with checkbook open was Rupert Murdoch's News Corp. They saw the potential to use the Family Channel's already existing market presence, along with the library of their Fox Kids Worldwide division, to turn the cable network into a competitor for Nickelodeon. News Corp initially wanted to own a partial stake in the company, but after Viacom and the Walt Disney Company offered to buy out the Family Channel completely, Fox entered a bid of $1.8 billion for the whole shebang. The final price would be $1.9 billion, and the Family Channel would officially become Fox Family Channel. Fox would shift the focus of the channel to market to young viewers in the daytime and families in the evenings and nights, and would bring in some heavy hitters for their regular programming, such as Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen and the British pop group S Club 7. Still contractually obligated to air CBN's The 700 Club, Fox Family would scale back to only playing the show 3 times a day, which, holy crap, how many times a day had it previously been airing? Fox's aim was true, and the channel's popularity exploded with the tween demographic, but the core audience of the Family Channel at the time had actually always been older. Primetime viewership fell 35% as older audiences didn't care for the hip, fresh look of Fox Family, and the channel's place in the ratings fell from 10th to 17th. Saban Entertainment, then largely in charge of Fox's kids' television operations, made a move to buy the channel outright. But when a valuation could not be agreed upon between Saban and News Corp, the two companies decided that it was time for the channel to change hands once again. They put it up for sale, and Disney would purchase Fox Family worldwide for $2.9 billion, plus an agreement to take on an additional $2.3 billion in outstanding debt associated with the channel, which not only bought Disney the channel, but all of Fox's kids' networks worldwide and Saban Entertainment itself. In 2001, the channel would be renamed ABC Family and would mix Disney and ABC programming with new programs produced specifically for the channel. While the channel continues to air Robertson's 700 Club, Disney has frequently and loudly attempted to distance themselves from the program, pointing out that they are contractually obligated to continue airing it due to the conditions of their purchase, and saying that the original Fox purchase agreement, which they are still bound by, had granted CBN its minimum of 3 time slots in perpetuity. At one point, they reportedly offered to buy out the 3 time slots by giving Robertson $75 million, but the televangelist refused, saying that his place on the channel is worth much, much more, even though it requires him to appear on a Disney-owned channel. For those of you who are not familiar with this particular long-standing beef, Robertson has not been a fan of the Disney Corporation for decades, and Disney hasn't exactly cared for Robertson. After multiple attempts at rebranding in 2016, Disney announced that ABC Family was officially becoming Freeform, that brand supposedly reflecting that its intended audience of millennials were undergoing the formation of their lives. The decision was made to drop both ABC and Family from the name in the hopes that they could shake the long-standing image of the channel being a home for wholesome entertainment, which had been holding the network back since 2006, when critics had complained that the content of ABC Family was becoming far too racy for wholesome family entertainment.
Wait. When was I ever into country line dancing?
Try all through college.
No, that was you. You were into line dancing. I only went along with it because I thought the boots were hot.
Okay. Well, you know, they also have really great tacos. You still like those?
Yes, I still like tacos.
Christmas Cupid features Christina Milan in the role of PR flack Sloane Spencer, who is guided through her past, present, and future by the ghost of her very recently departed client, pop star Caitlin Quinn, played by Ashley Benson, as well as spirits who very closely resemble all of her exes. Quinn has come back to show Sloane the error of her ways and hopes to get her more focused on living a good life than focusing on being a social climber, along the way hoping to break her up with her boss's son and reunite her with a former flame. Once again, we're looking at a gender-swapped Scrooge, and this time around it's clear just how very low the bar is set for a professional female character to be considered a Scrooge. Sloane Spencer does very little in this film that would not be considered par for the course in the entertainment industry, and yet she is unceasingly criticized for having let her career take over her life. This particular romantic comedy focuses almost all of its efforts on the Scrooge's romantic life, as the core message is that she has always been abandoning boyfriends in order to trade up. Yet, when we're shown what was supposedly the first time she did so, it's in high school, when she ignored a nerdy guy's confession of a crush to accept an invitation to the dance from a popular jock. But that's not trading up. There was no trading there. Never once do we see that Sloane had ever had or expressed any interest in the guy she supposedly dumped to trade up. He confessed a crush. She wasn't into him. What was she supposed to do in that moment? Accept the first invitation she received, no matter who it came from or how she might feel about him or anybody else? And this idea of trading up is then explored further, but each time we don't see her exchanging a boyfriend for a new one in a higher position of power or wealth. Most of what we see is her leaving men who want her to give up on her career in order to focus on them. Even the much-desired ex that Caitlin Quinn feels is the one who got away was a man who wanted Sloane to abandon her dreams to follow him to the middle of nowhere while he attended medical school. And if that's a boundary you're not willing to cross for a relationship, that's completely and 100% fair, and nobody should expect you to automatically do that. People make those hard decisions in relationships all the time, and maybe sometimes it's sad, but it's part of being in a relationship with other people, learning how and when to set boundaries, not just to please the other person, but to also protect your own health, sanity, and happiness. The idea that this is some shameful instance of trading up seems to be a gross misuse of that phrase. She's a woman who wants to pursue a career in entertainment, not a freaking Targaryen playing the Game of Thrones. The thing is, when you compare female Scrooges to the rare male counterparts who get their opportunity to see what they missed with Belle, you can see a very stark contrast in how these characters are treated. For male Scrooges, seeing Belle's happy present is almost always an opportunity to reflect on something else that they could have had, something additional that could have been a part of their life if they had just been willing to put people ahead of business. Romance is a part of their life that they neglected in favor of pursuing money, but that's a part. In addition to family, friendship, the respect of their fellows, the love of their community, there's a massive network of human kindness that male Scrooges have removed themselves from, and those who get the opportunity to see what could have been in their romantic lives are given a vision wherein they could have been happy in business and in love. Female Scrooges, on the other hand, are almost universally presented with an image that suggests that without love, marriage, and children, they might as well be nothing. Frequently, moments that should really serve as romantic red flags, moments where they are asked to completely abandon everything they've built or that they hope to build in favor of their partner, are treated as crucial points where they let their ambition get in the way of their romantic relationship. And when their partners get angry with them for choosing not to prioritize them over, well, everything, that partner's anger is across the board treated as the valid viewpoint. Female Scrooges are frequently called out specifically for not having pursued romance, with everything else in the network of human kindness secondary to the mere idea that they could have been a wife and or a mother. In researching and watching for this calendar of Scrooges, I have not encountered a single female Scrooge who was told that they could have had the career they wanted and they could have had love. It is always presented as a binary choice, love or career, that they made poorly. Looking at the scores for this Scrooge, it's worth remembering that this is a loose adaptation of A Christmas Carol. Sloane does opt for dinner at home over an evening out. If only poor Quinn had done the same, she might have survived, and then we wouldn't have had any ghosts in this story. Quinn appears with no additional spirits in tow, unless you count the vodka martini that she's always carrying. The ghost of X's present is not accompanied by want and ignorance because a lot of these political points from the original are not a part of this adaptation. And while Sloane does not dive into her grave, she does learn that she dies alone and unloved because she abandoned everybody in pursuit of her own career. And as for Bob Cratchit, well, Cratchit is sort of a minor character in the show, but she doesn't have to go to Cratchit's home because much like Bill Murray in Scrooged, her Cratchit is right there at the event that she's producing. So she can just go to her and tell her, hey, go home and be with your family. So that is a no point on the Cratchit question. Christmas Cupid debuted on ABC Family on December 12th, 2010. In that initial airing, it came in third for cable ratings behind Shake It Up and Good Luck Charlie, and above Sunny with a Chance. It drew a total of 3.398 million viewers, 1.1 million of those being between the ages of 18 and 49. Critics, by and large, ignored it, and audiences in their reviews have been less than kind to the film, with over 500 ratings giving it a score of 35% on Rotten Tomatoes. So tell me, what do you think of Christina Milan as Sloane in Christmas Cupid? That's what the comment section is there for. Drop down into the comments and let me know what you think. While you're down there, the like and subscribe buttons are right there if you haven't hit them already. There's also a bell that if you haven't hit that gives you notifications whenever this channel puts up a new video. If you just can't wait for the next Film Optimist thing and you want to see more right away, then right there, you can start the playlist for the Scrooge Advent Calendar from the very beginning. Or up here, there is the Halloween countdown of Draculas. Until next time, watch like it means something.